Hello and welcome back to another 10-minute investor eye test. This is Mello and Sasha from Arcanum Ventures, and today we are covering Tren Finance, the first fully autonomous AI-controlled stablecoin borrowing protocol where a network of 20-plus agents eliminate human bias from DeFi. That is quite a sentence, and I'm not sure how to deconstruct it. Sasha, do you know anything about Tren Finance?
Oh, we covered it in our 3 token launches upcoming video, and I had the same reaction. Stablecoin borrowing and DeFi around stablecoin, like pretty straightforward. I'm not sure why you might bring agentic AI into it unless you want to automate active trading, which I mean, that's not really DeFi. That's more just like trading. So yeah, I guess we're gonna find out. But they're launching a token, right? So I'm interested to see how the token fits into all of this.
Yeah, especially that. And I wasn't even aware that there was human bias associated with DeFi products or platforms. But I don't know. This could either be another lazy way to bolt on agentic AI just to, jump on that narrative, or it could be actually truly useful. So we don't know. I guess we'll find out that and what the token will do. And for those unfamiliar, we take 10 short minutes. I know it's not a lot of time, but we take 10 minutes to dive into a new project that is launching soon and trying to figure out what the token utility is, what the business model looks like, and if it's ultimately an investable company to look into and put your money into it. So we're going to take 10 minutes, put 10 minutes on the clock, and then after we'll give our deliberations and try to figure out if it's worth it or not.
Yeah. And without any further ado, you ready? Put 10 minutes on the clock.
I'm ready.
Start right meow. Okay, I've got Tren Finance up here on Crypto Rank, and as we can see, IDO active until today. And right off the bat, I see a couple of logos I recognize on the cap table. We got Moonrock, Contango, Spire, Maven. I don't know what Metabros is. That's not a great name, man.
So questionable. It is
Yeah.
very crypto though.
It is very crypto, but they've got an IDO on Decubate. We know those guys raising 200K. And again, I guess the subscription right here, it's a DeFi protocol focused on unlocking liquidity and enhancing capital efficiency. Those are traditional financial terms, So, yeah, we'll see how this ties in. And if, this might be a signal of a greater trend where maybe speculative cryptocurrency investors are learning more about traditional finance, which has never happened before.
I think it's just the nature of the beast with all these traditional finance companies coming into crypto. Like last week, we saw Robinhood launching its own layer on Arbitrum and Ethereum. And I kind of have a weird feeling based off all the conversations I had at the ETHCC conference in Cannes that DeFi Summer 2.0 might be coming, or maybe not summer, but I think DeFi might be coming back in a big way because of this infusion of traditional capital that's coming back in. And, they want to take a shot at all of these amazing yields that crypto can sometimes promise, but sometimes it's very unsustainable or poorly built. So who knows if it's a big house of cards waiting to fall or if it's the sign of a new beginning for DeFi.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. Still early in the summer. We've got an IDO across 3 IDO Launchpads, Spores, Decubate, and EC. I see that we've got an initial market cap of 2 million. That's quite reasonable. And an FDV
Yeah.
of 10 million, which is also very reasonable.
Yep.
And so, yeah, this is for the token. Again, we don't know if these investors have invested in equity in addition to token, but hopefully we'll see. We got to figure out, what does this token actually do? So let's go over to the website. Boom. The Stablecoin Borrowing AI Network. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think just real quick on the last page, I think it also said that they raised $550,000. So that's not a lot either compared to the raise. So I wonder why they raised so little, or maybe they've raised before against equity, like you said.
Yeah, well, there's no information on the seed raise, so I assume that they raised far more, especially if they're building AI
Yeah.
infra, which is not cheap.
Yeah, and
But
I think you pointed out the other day with some other AI projects, like we're still having the same problem from a few years ago that people are just building expensive GPT wrappers. So that's always a big question you got to look into when you're trying to vet a new AI adjacent project that's launching. So how much of this technology is their own proprietary IP built in house, and how much of it's white labeled or just straight up wrapped around an existing open source LLM or GPT.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of companies, seemingly in Silicon Valley, are raising millions at ridiculous valuations for GPT wrappers. Shame on you guys. But back to Tren Finance, I'm trying to figure out what do they mean around stablecoin borrowing. Unlike traditional DeFi protocols that rely on human intervention for protocol operations, our team of AI agents facilitate all avenues of the protocol. So it's basically like you're just yelling at AI to borrow and lend stablecoins in the platform. That's interesting.
I mean, I guess they want to do a hands-off approach to running these platforms so that you can't get emotional, because like a lot of the times we make really bad trading or investing mistakes when we're too emotional. So maybe AI agents don't have this issue, but it says that they play various roles in their ecosystem, and I don't know how big their quote unquote team is, but they said 20 plus before in the description. So I think up above it said some of the roles that some of these agents will play in the ecosystem, like a market making agent, but it
Hmm.
still leaves a lot of questions. There's been a lot of hacks and exploitations lately, so you need to be damn sure that these agents are bulletproof. Basically, if they're running, ideally, a few $100 million TVL ecosystem or more, if people really truly trust this.
Absolutely. And I'm still trying to understand like the volume potential here, like how much
Yeah.
liquidity or collateral could they be managing if they've got many, many tens of thousands of users that are using these AI agents for DeFi opportunities within stablecoins. I'm trying to wrap my head around all of this because it's a lot of information. Let's break it down a little bit. We've got
Yep.
protocol bootstrapped liquidity. I believe they mean bootstrapped. And so DAO managed counterparty liquidity. So essentially, like people will be providing collateral for stablecoin DeFi opportunities. I'm assuming Flash
Hmm.
Mint, infinite on-demand liquidity for arbitrage, refinancing, and other complex DeFi. So that's going to sort of boost their lending capabilities. Proof of liquidity. I think that's very important if your entire protocol is centered around stable coins and liquidity that allows you to, let's say, take derivatives out of those stable coins deposited and use them for DeFi.
Yep.
They've got a synthetic asset against their token. I assume Tren is the token. They've got a
Yep.
VE Tren. Lets holders allocate 90% of protocol revenue via gauges, weighted by lock, amount, and duration. That might be, a synthetic asset that kind of separates collateral principal and interest. So that's pretty
Hmm.
interesting, pun
Yeah, and then they
intended.
got proof of proof of liquidity up above where we've seen before. I think for Barachain, that was their whole thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They've got hooks. So, this is essentially infrastructure that's going to allow not only these users, but also the AI agents that they deploy, I assume, on the network to
Yep.
interact with smart contracts and other third party protocols. Independent risk and liquidity, eliminating systemic risk. It's a big statement, man. I don't know, like if they can eliminate systemic risk. Again, it goes back to what you said. Like, this is going to be a huge thing right here. Like, that's a massive vulnerability when it
Yeah.
comes to, like the threat against the liquidity on the protocol, especially if they're developing these risks, these hooks and APIs that tie into third-party protocols and allowing code AI agents to access.
Yeah, not just that, but you and I have spoken at great length about this, but the quality of information going into these AI agents, feeding them, they're completely dependent on that information. So that could be one attack vector, is just making attacking the oracles or making sure that they're getting the wrong feeds, price feeds, or other financial information, therefore making the wrong decisions or in decisions based off of faulty information. I don't know what they've done to mitigate that, but it's one question I would have if I were directly talking with the team right now.
It's such a good point because if this entire protocol and the information that's driving user and agent behavior on trading or deploying into DeFi opportunities is based
Yeah.
on like a single Chainlink price oracle, then you have like a potential single point of vulnerability in the inaccuracy of that data or the tampering of that integration. But
Yep.
I still don't see anything around the token. So I think there's a link here for documentation. Maybe that gives us an idea of what this is for. LP tokens. No, this is just some background information.
Token.
Here we
Trend
go.
versus trend. Yeah. Oh, there is multiple tokens then, right?
Yeah, XY is a core
Three.
liquidity driver powering the system. Synthetic dollar debt token backed by over collateralized loans. Interesting. This is going to take a little bit of time to break down, I think.
Yeah.
So they've got like a synthetic stablecoin essentially, and it's backed by over collateralized loans. And I'm assuming the loans are what they were referring to as far as like DAO provision liquidity, right?
Hmm. Yeah, it seems like there's also not just a DeFi resurgence, but a run on stablecoin. Like everybody wants to get into the stablecoin action after seeing this huge Circle IPO. So, we're going to see lots and lots of new options for stablecoin hitting the market soon as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the stablecoin meta is going to continue to explode. But this is, we've got multiple tokens here to break down. But basically, they're saying that XY is kind of like a synthetic stablecoin backed by USDC and USDT and DAI, and it's algorithmically stabilized. That
Oh,
is interesting because I don't know if they want to, they should use that term. A lot of
well,
bad taste in people's mouths.
they even said, where does XY fit in? Right there it says algorithmic incentive mechanism to maintain peg like Terra Luna's UST model. So it doesn't rely on that. But the fact that they mention that means that they're aware of how that might come across, and they're cautious about it, I suppose. But even mentioning that makes me a little bit anxious when I'm talking about large sums of money.
That's our 10 minutes, but I think maybe we can add a little bit more time because we're getting close to the token. Yeah, it's a good point. Like, I think many people don't understand how stablecoin ecosystems work. Many stablecoins are like sort of custodially and manually managed
Hmm.
to maintain peg with incentive mechanisms, redemptions, etc. The thing about Terra Luna and some other algorithmic stablecoins that failed is that they automated that entire process and
Yeah.
the collateral was not there. So, it was just dressed for failure. But if
Yep.
they over collateralize this, then maybe it reduces some risk, but still risky, man.
Yeah, and that's why I think their thesis here is that uh, you need some collateral, and you also need some sort of kill switch or way to intervene, whether it be agentic or human intervention. Obviously, not human here because they say humans are biased, but having even one other mechanism like a swarm of agents, maybe shielding this compared to what we saw with Luna Terra, like when it was just the algorithm just failed. It was a little bit simple compared to what it was handling.
Yeah, yeah. This is really interesting. I got to dive deeper into this actually. But here we'll take one more minute and talk about their actual utility token. And so it's architecture and the principles, the VE 3.3 model. And 90% of protocol revenue is directed towards buybacks. What?
Hmm. And you see the first sentence, Tren is the value accrual token for Trend Finance, which is crazy because I don't think I've ever seen anybody call it a value accrual token. I thought that was, illegal, or your legal team would be saying ditch this right now. But yeah,
Yeah.
they're committing with buybacks from the protocol. Maybe they think they're hiding behind the veil of decentralization with the DAO and the agents. But still, the fact that they're saying this is the token that we assume will accrue value is a little bit crazy to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like this is structured as a DAO, a sustainable
Yeah.
hybrid DAO governed protocol. So, if the company is actually structuring this like a DAO, then there's a little bit more accountability in them actually trying to accrue value in that token. And as a result, they've got this synthetic vote escrow token. And so that's
Hmm.
essentially going to be a token that allows you to participate in governance proposals and proceedings. But wow, there's a lot of information here. We've got to wrap it up because we're cheating like heavily right now. But we can maybe bring that into our verdicts. So yeah,
Yeah, I
how do you
guess
feel about
you
this one?
you want to go first? You want me to go first?
I'll go first. Yeah. Okay. I'll admit, I'm surprised. I thought this was going to be some absolute BS AI agent buzzword startup that is like, just slapping AI agents onto some random DeFi crap. I don't know, based off of what we read in 10 short minutes, how
Mhm.
much of the actual tech and infrastructure they've developed themselves and how much they are pulling from other protocols or maybe like licensing or white labeling tech, because it's going to be pretty difficult to do everything that they said. And then also something to consider, how much they're vibe coding, which is a huge risk. But interestingly enough, like the tokenomics from what we've read, really make me want to dive deeper. I still have no idea what the other auxiliary use cases are around the Tren token.
Mhm.
I'm assuming it might be some degen-esque stuff, but the value accrual is like, yeah, that's bold. I like that. Um, you know, do I think that they're going to get a lot of business and demand to accrue that value into the token? I have no idea. I still don't really know what they're doing. They use a lot of abstract wording and buzzwords, and I guarantee anyone that's not super familiar with DeFi watching this video is completely lost at this point. But yeah, definitely worth taking a deeper dive for me. So I'll give it one thumb up for now.
Wow. Yeah, I think surprisingly, I have the same take here. I liked it a whole bunch more than I expected. And before I give my verdict, just a reminder to like and subscribe and leave your comments. Maybe we're totally wrong about this Trend Finance or DeFi in general. So tell us why we're wrong or right, and give us a follow if you like this content. And I think, yeah, you brought up some great points. Surprisingly, they do a lot well. Like 10 minutes is not enough, or 12 minutes is not enough time to vet a token economy, but this is the most information I've seen about a token build in quite some time. And a lot of videos we've done lately, they've been
Yeah.
very vague about token. So it looks like a lot of thought has been gone into this. And you and I both know that like designing a multi-asset digital asset ecosystem is a lot harder than just a one fungible token asset ecosystem. So a lot of thought's been put into this. You're right about the demand. You're right about like the partnerships I would need to know more about. And like we discussed, the AI, like how new is that, or novel is that, or are they just wrapping around GPT? Because like I have a lot of trust issues coming with AI agents. Like they are not all made equally. Some are just hallucinating total GPT wrappers, and some of them are specialized and know exactly what they're doing, and they have good data feeds. So I would need to learn more about that, a little bit more about the token and the team. I do love this decentralized, and this is one of those rare instances where it actually makes sense to have a token because there's a DAO, and DeFi is kind of one of the original use cases for a token. So I would give it a thumb up. Obviously, that doesn't mean we'd invest in it, but it means that you and I would both want to take a deeper dive into this, maybe speak with the team, maybe, have our research team look into it more, because it's definitely fascinating. I don't think I've seen so many AI agents in DeFi, and they're calling it like DFAI. DFAI. I don't know how to
DFA.
pronounce it, but it's one of the newer buzzwords. So maybe there's something to it. Maybe it's just the first of a long line of failures trying to grab at that narrative. We don't know. But anyways, best of luck to the team, Trend Finance, and looks pretty interesting. We'll definitely be looking more into it. And next week, we got a real fun video coming up with our eye test, major launch. Stay tuned for that one. And yeah, signing off from Arcanum Ventures, this is Sasha and Carmelo. Ciao, everybody.
Ciao, y'all.